every day.
Good morning.
And what a beautiful day it is. What a beautiful day it is to see all of you and to just look around the room and look into your eyes and feel your presence. And what I want you to know is that without you, this service would not be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can stand up here and talk for a while with commentary because that's what happens in our congregation.
That's right.
I can stand up here and talk for a while, but you guys can go home and watch that on TV. It's the community of every day that is what's important. It's important to me. It is my spiritual family. I treasure it. I do everything that I can to take care of these relationships and help us to grow together. And without you, none of it happens. So I just want you to know, as your spiritual leader, your spiritual guide, your spiritual mentor, as Ann Rea, I am deeply grateful. We are too. See, I told you, commentary. So today we're ending a series that began the first week in February. And that series has been about developing a new relationship with fear. Because we tend to think of our relationship with fear as one-dimensional. And it's in charge. Because that can be how it feels. That can absolutely be how it feels. And so what we've been exploring since that first week is how to shift that relationship, how to actually invite a relationship with what feels like fear, what may feel like anxiety, what may feel like the unknown. And the unknown can feel fearful just by virtue of the fact it's unknown, right? So we began, each title has begun with hello fear, with us actually greeting our feelings of fear. Hello fear. And then letting fear know who we are. Not in a superior way, but what groundwork we are laying for this relationship. And so we began with curiosity. Hello, fear. I am curiosity. Because fear is really like a stranger to many of us, which is part of what makes it fearful. And so we not only want to get to know what information, what gift it offers us, we want it to be a reciprocal relationship where we are willing to be fully ourselves, fully relaxed, fully open to that rapport. Because when we are feeling fearful, we are also feeling closed off. Physically sometimes, mentally for sure, emotionally even. So we went from curiosity to inviting fear to just, sit down and have a cup of coffee and let us know what's going on. What is it that that is concerning? What is it that you think I need to know? What is it? What is it? And then the next week we went to kindness. Hello, fear. I am kindness. And one of the things that I remember saying from that week is that fear has never been treated by kindness in anywhere in its life. It's never been welcomed by kindness. It's never been hosted by kindness. It has never been dialogued with by kindness. It doesn't maybe even know what kindness is. So to introduce kindness into this process seemed important to me. And then last week, we brought trust into the conversation. Hello, fear. I'm trust. And bless you on the truth. And as trust, I know if I were having a conversation with fear, right? I know that you believe you're protecting me. Whether or not I actually need protection, you believe I do, and you believe you're protecting me by keeping me at arm's length from whatever you believe is dangerous. Now, of course, the you that we're having this conversation with is an inner you that is still hanging on to old beliefs. And those beliefs may be from tiny childhood or accumulated along the way. It doesn't matter. We are having this dialogue, we're establishing this new ground of being with something that there's been a lot of misinformation about as we've come along to wherever we are right now. And because we're new every day, which by the way is a scientific truth, because we're new every day, we get to reestablish our relationship with everything from scratch. It's the ultimate do-over. It is. Because, this is so interesting. Our past, starting from square one, our past, I don't know how many of you can see this huge electrical cord that's stretched across the floor, but it's at least that big around. And it reminds me of our journey to where we are. Because it's kind of lumpy and bumpy and if you could see what it looks like behind that lectern, it gets curly and kind of funnier looking. And that could be used to describe anyone's past in this room. I definitely had parts that were funny looking and not so funny looking. But the combination of it all led to me, as I am, standing here in front of you. Led to you, as you are, seated here in front of me. And this is true if you're watching us on Facebook, this is true if you're watching us on Zoom. It doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter if you watch this later in the week, or later in the month, or later in the year. It's true. So today, we bring courage. Hello, fear. I am courage. And what courage is about in this context is being willing to be new. To be new in this relationship with what feels scary to us, what feels uncomfortable, what feels awkward, what feels unknown, what feels treacherous, what feels whatever label we want to add to any fear that we might be feeling, or actually we may be thinking that we're feeling. Because that's how it works. It all begins with an idea. Everything begins with an idea. And if we're in reaction to something, which is often how fear begins, if we're in reaction to something, it's not a wonder that fear thinks its job is to protect us. Because whatever it is that we're in reaction to, obviously frightened us for some reason, or concerned us deeply in terms of what we needed to do about it, or what was ours to do about it, or how in the world it was going to get better, or whatever the case may be. And that it's all good. What I want everyone to understand and really integrate is that every feeling we have has its place. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make them all true. It doesn't make them all true. And it certainly doesn't make them the boss. Because who's the boss?
We are.
Really?
God.
4 people said we are. Who is the boss?
We are.
Hallelujah. We are. We choose. That's our bossness. We choose. And there might be some people in this room who have lived at the affect of other people's choices, or been at the affect of other people's choices, or felt at the affect of other people's choices. And we may have confused them under that circumstance with being the boss. Because we didn't know better. But now we do. Now we know that the one life that is all life, that is spirit, that is God, that is the universe, that is the higher power, that is all things, gave us bossness. It gave us bossness because it gave us free will. It said, I'm not going to do it for you. Sorry. I'm not going to do it for you. Because you're here to live Thomas's life. Uniquely as Thomas. And Daniel's life, uniquely as Daniel. Julia's life, uniquely as Julia. Barbara's life, uniquely as Barbara. Stephen's life, uniquely, believe me, as Stephen. So there isn't any such thing as an outside entity that is going to step in. Nuts. But that's not how it works. how it works, and how we can have this courage to have a great relationship with all of our feelings, as well as each other, as well as strangers, as well as it really reaching the point in our lives where we feel so engaged with life that there is no such thing as a stranger.
That's right.
How we can have that courage is because we have bossness. We choose. So these feelings that come up that are, for sure, in my opinion, largely influenced by something in our past. You know, if we've seen something like that, or we've smelled something like that, or we've tasted something like that, chances are, because this looks or smells or tastes like that, it's going to be like that. That's what our brain does, is it gathers evidence.
Yep.
Until we say to our brain, you know, you're so cool at that. You really do that well. You gather evidence so well. But what about all this other evidence? What about the evidence where it looks and tastes and feels and behaves like something else? Does that just get tossed? No. It all matters. Because it all brought us to here. It all brought us to here. So what's our end game here? That's a new corporate thing. Actually, it's probably 10 years old, but for me, it's a new corporate thing. So what's your end game? What's our end game? Our end game is to, within ourselves, feel the courage to have a level playing field where we can relate and still feel safe with whatever feelings we are having. We can welcome them. We can honor them because they have their place and they have information.
Right.
Or at least they think they do. But that's part of the process, is of us developing enough of a relationship, enough of a rapport, enough of a dialogue, where we can determine what's true and what is something that is still being believed that is no longer true.
Right.
Because we, as the fullness of life itself, we have new information. And our brain hasn't quite decided yet whether or not that new information is cool. Is that really the truth? Is it really the truth that there's only one life? And that life is our life, always has been, always will be. It was our life before we had one. In this context. And our brain may be easily saying, well, how does she know that's true? Sure, I've done classes, taught classes, read a lot, studied a lot, but I don't know it's true because a philosophy told me I had to.
Right.
I know it's true because my heart tells me it's true. And it aligns with everything that I ever sought to know as I continued my process of seeking, which continues to this day. I'm a student just like you. We all are. This is the biggest classroom there is our life. And that big do-over I mentioned earlier, wow. If we had all, just imagine for a second with me, just put yourself in any one of the classrooms you were ever in. And if you'd been sitting there thinking to yourself, you know, maybe I missed something in my interpretation today, but I have a do-over tomorrow. I have a do-over. I get to look at it with fresh eyes and hear with fresh ears. And get my heart and my head talking to each other continuously, because that is the language of the divine. That informs my guidance. That lets me know as I'm looking to put one foot in front of the other, because that's the best anybody can do. One foot in front of the other. As I'm looking to put one foot in front of the other, that helps me clarify what my next step is. Not the whole journey. And you know what? It's so great that we can't figure out the whole thing.
Right.
It's so great. Because look at all the excitement we've missed. All of the discovery we've missed. One foot in front of the other is truly a godsend. That's how we progress, because every time we take a step, what happens? All these other choices show up. It's not linear.
Right.
It's not. Living this life, head to toe, inside and out, as our highest and best selves is not a linear process. It's taking the next step and looking at all the new choices that are presenting themselves, and then taking the next step and doing the same thing, and taking the next step and doing the same thing, and taking the next step and doing the same thing. Endlessly. Now, sometimes taking that next step takes courage. Because sometimes when we're feeling like we don't have answers, we can feel like we're standing on the edge. That's okay. You remember what happened when Indiana Jones was standing on the edge. He knew he had to take a step. In his father's notebook, it told him, trust and take a step. So that's what he did. He trusted, he put his foot out, and the bridge to get across this huge cavernous space appeared before him. And so it is.